Welcome to another episode of Coaching Football with Brian Clee.
Super excited to bring you episode 11, where we will look at some actual game film of us playing our coverages, of our guys making their pre-snap checks, their post-snap calls, and matching up route distributions. I think getting to the game film is so important because in the end, the game is not played with X's and O's on a blackboard or whiteboard or what you draw up in a playbook. It comes down to what actually happens out on the field, how a group of people have worked together to prepare themselves, to put themselves in the best position to be successful. Big thanks to all the players I've coached over the past 17 years, and especially the guys I've coached the past 5 years as defensive coordinator here at Coloma. Hopefully, me using this game as a vehicle to teach student athletes that if they approach everything with focus, discipline, and incredible effort, they're going to find a way to put themselves in position to be successful no matter what circumstances they face. Obviously, it's mostly in the realm of football in this episode, but that carries over to their life after football, getting their high school diploma, getting that post-secondary education started or certification program, or in some cases, beginning their careers and getting a job. And hopefully this game has given back to you as much as it's given to me, and let's get into the film. First is our read coverage. Our guys are checking to this anytime they get two detached receivers. They're going to be keying the release of number 2. If number 2 is crossing or is vertical in the seam, they're going to match it with cover 4 principles. If 2 is out to the flats immediately, they're going to call alert, and the matchup is basically going to be cover 2. Went over both of these quite detailed in episodes 8 and 9. I've attached links of those in the description down below if you want to go back and check those out, or if you haven't seen those. First clip really illustrates why we pattern match. If we were calling straight cover 4, our outside linebacker would have to be a little bit wider to play the curl, and then anytime a route threatened the flat, he would be in big time conflict if they also had play action, which they do on this play, and really it's inside veer with bubble. So by playing matchup, that lets that outside linebacker be a run-first defender. Our defensive backs are always operating with the understanding that that guy might not be available in the coverage. If he gets any sort of run action, he's going to be committed to that first, and we're going to have to match things up based on the route of that number 2 receiver. So Brendan gets a down block by his offensive tackle, pulls his trigger. He's going to match up on the quarterback on the keep here off of inside veer. Our corner out there, you see his foot put in the ground. He's pulling his trigger. He's outside leverage through the outside shoulder of number 1. And he's going to come up and play that bubble on the alert. Our safety could get a little better eyes going to the number 1 receiver for a fake bubble go. He does keep good inside leverage, though, and in the end, that kid's blocking all the way. So it's not the end of the world here, and we come and get a 2-yard gain on the play. Next up, hitches, and this is the one weakness of how we play our read coverage. We are inviting teams to make that longer throw to the hitch in the flats. So again, read in number 2. Both linebackers get hands on number 2. They're in the seam. We're calling seam. Everyone's going to keep sinking and keep inside on top leverage out of our defensive backs until the ball is thrown. Ball's thrown to the flats. Outside linebacker and our corner come up. They have great leverage on it, and we make the tackle for a 6-yard gain. And down in distance, it's 3rd and 10. Obviously, that's what we want defensively. This spot on the field, they're punting on 4th and 4, and we're willing to live with that hitch being completed on a 1st and 10. Most teams do not make a living throwing that hitch all the way down the field, and they also got to throw and catch that hitch all the way down the field. Ultimately, if someone is offensive coordinator is going to live with that, you got to either get checked into a man coverage or disguise and maybe play some sort of press bail. Here we are, another bubble. We're keying 2 on the top of the screen. 2 is out immediately. We got an alert. Now the corner takes inside leverage, but the wide receiver's out past the numbers. He knows that he's going to be able to make it there, and that's his rule. If you take inside, you have to make the play. You see our safety. He's getting eyes out to 1. Corner comes up. Levi, big hit. That kid he hit, the wide receiver for the other team, does a tough kid and gets back up and keeps playing. But you definitely have a situation where he maybe goes over to the sideline and tells his coach, sure you want to throw a bubble against that? Here we go, another hitch. And both linebackers are able to match 2 in the seam. We're yelling seam. We're sinking to the ball's thrown. Ball comes out. Corner pulls his trigger. Levi's coming up. Linebacker Christian, he's pushing out to that. And we have pretty good leverage. We missed the first tackle, but we're in position to make sure the ball only goes for a 6-yard gain. Bubble again. Heck of a catch by the 2 receiver. Corner's a little slow. Alert comes up, and we make the play on a 4th and 5. Incredible catch by that kid. And our stud linebacker is actually a defensive back. We're in a little bit of a nickel situation because that wide receiver obviously is pretty good. But Sergio comes over, and our corner pulled his trigger. Caleb makes a nice play on the alert. So we keep on getting that bubble, that jailbreak, whatever, and our safeties especially are, all right, I'm sitting there, I'm waiting for fake bubble go. So we're keying 2, alert. Eyes by our safeties are going to go to number 1. Our corner also, he is seeing that that's not really a bubble. So we actually get 2 matched up here. Taquan's outside leverage at corner, and our inside leverage, pretty sure that's Kenyon. Again, good job of playing our matchup. Alert, eyes to 1 by the safety, keep inside on top leverage. Corners carrying underneath, and they do not have any room to complete that fake bubble go. Here we go. Slants, we get seam by the number 2 receiver. Hands are on him. Be nice if the outside linebacker kept inside leverage. But does a good job of throwing off the timing. Safety, Zach's sitting all over it, able to make the pick and go the other way and give us a shot of maybe getting one last drive put together before the end of the half. So now we're going to have seam by 2. And what makes that seam? Right now, our defensive backs are saying, number 1, it's 4th and 10, down in distance. Number 2, that outside linebacker is going to be able to drive on that out. He is close enough that he's almost getting hands on him, and we're going to let him play that while we double team the route they're probably really trying to throw, which is the seam here. And if our corner got a little bit more on top, he should be right around right here, so he can drive down and actually come up with the interception instead of dropping it there. So now we got post flag. Move that along a little bit. So key in number 2. Number 2 is vertical in the seam. We're yelling seam. Outside linebacker is carrying it. Corner is keeping outside leverage. He's waiting for some sort of flag. Safety has eyes on 2. When we got seam, he's looking to protect the post. These 2 guys are crossing at about 10 yards. Be nice if our outside linebacker rerouted and walled the post, but he commits to covering that flag or that out route, which forces the quarterback to put air under it. So our corner Mike is able to come up, drive down on the ball, and make the interception. So now our man check, anytime we get more than about 8 to 10 yards between 1 and 2, we're going to be checking to it. If the outside linebacker is called into coverage, we might be playing it out like cover 1. If the outside linebacker is rushing, we'll play it out cover 0. So here we are, outside linebacker. We have him in the coverage. He's only responsible for the swing of number 3, and I think something, regardless if you're pattern match or not, anytime the flat defender gets something to the flats, once they're hooked up on that, they need to be able to turn and run with the wheel. Jackson does a great job, turns, runs with the wheel by the running back, is playing underneath of it, again forcing the quarterback to put air underneath the ball, and he breaks it up all on his own, doesn't even need the corner to come over after the ball got hung up there. The corner comes over to help a little bit. We do a great job on the play. Another man match, and I think we're called straight cover 0 here. With our man over here, I'm pretty sure, yeah, we are. Outside linebacker is responsible for 3 over there. Our safety to the field side doesn't have a vertical threat, so he's available to rob and help as needed. He gets a crossing route, and we had this scouted out, drives down on it, and Mike makes a nice stick for a 0-yard gain on the cross from the other side, because he's free and he understands he can help out and rob other routes if the receiver on his side, the number 1, gets matched by the corner, which he does. You see the corner come onto the screen right there. Not perfect leverage, but we knew what was probably coming. Next up, cloud. When I put together the film for this, realized this is by far our number 1 check against 3-by-1 formations where the 3 receivers are detached. I think there's 3 reasons for that. Number 1, the teams we play, they're throwing some sort of screen out to the 3 receiver side. Number 2, typically most teams are putting trips to the field, so they are either running the ball a little bit more to the field side or to the 3 receiver side. And then number 2, being in cloud lets us play very aggressively with really, really good leverage. And what it essentially is we're taking our read coverage and we're saying, all right, apply it to both the 2 and the 3 receiver. If we get an alert by either of those, the corner's going to pull his trigger. And because we're stealing that backside boundary deep safety to the trip side, we're able to get over top of the 2 verticals that are left after the corner plays the alert. The downside is obviously you are singled up on the backside, on the single receiver side of the formation. And again, go back to episodes 8 and 10. Links are in the description down below of more detail of us being in our trips coverage. So here we are. Caleb is, I'm being generous, kid's probably 5'9", and he's got a matchup with the receivers that's 6'3", 6'4", and offensive coordinators are drooling. They're like, oh, we got the one-on-one, and our corners take pride in, all right, my job when we're in cloud away from me is to just man this guy up, be physical off the line of scrimmage, keep inside leverage, and just have great effort through the play, punch the ball out as he comes down, and make sure it's as much of a no-fly zone as possible when I'm working on my own over there. Another single receiver throw. We're clouded. Don't love being clouded to the boundary per se, but they got their best receiver in the 3 receiver spot here, and we've got a defensive back nickel guy subbed in for our stud linebacker, and this illustrates the amount of space. It's not great coverage, but we're going to see our inside linebacker drop Christian in the curl, and there's just too much space for him to really be meaningfully underneath that slant. Luckily, the quarterback overthrows it just a little bit, and they get the incompletion. But that shows the issue with being in cloud of how much space and how much it's really a one-on-one matchup on the backside there. Now we got jailbreak. This is our rival Watervliet, and we're keying 2 and 3. Our corner probably also has peripherals on one. He knows a jailbreak might be coming. One puts his foot in the ground that hard, he can play the jailbreak. Our safeties are getting eyes to 2 and 3. The body language, if he was keying only number 2, the body language of that guy, he's broken down and he's turning outside. I can alert it, come up, play it real hard and aggressively, and really good play by our 5 technique as well, getting out there. But that's an entirely different episode. One more time, just watching it through full speed, won't click anything. Coming out, alert, come up, 5-yard loss on the jailbreak by the spread team there. Another jailbreak. It's going to be Levi again. Coming back, alert, 2 is out. Keep outside leverage, come back, make the tackle. Nice play. Now a switch to the end zone view. This was the first snap of the game, and our sideline camera didn't catch the entire play. Great clip, though, of eye discipline. This is our backside safety. Pretty sure this is fake jailbreak go. He sees 3 working out here, fakes a stock block, and then comes back on the post, knows he needs to keep inside leverage. You can see his eyes working out right now. He's reading the route and the stem of that number 3 receiver, comes up and makes a big but very clean hit, shoulder to shoulder. Helmet is definitely not helmet to helmet there, and just a big physical hit to start off a game that we're playing again against our rival. And it's week 9. We're 5 and 3. We're trying to get in the playoffs. They're trying to finish a undefeated season. Clip, bubble. Don't love how deep our safeties are, but great energy. Outside linebacker Jay gets through number 2, throws him to the side, makes a big stop. Our corner sees the 3 alert, comes up, outside leverage, keeps himself alive. Would have been there to help out with the tackle. Great example, though, of energy, just as important as the scheme and the coverage. Another bubble, 3 alerts, corner pulls his trigger. Great effort, outside leverage. Levi cuts it down, negative 2-yard loss on the bubble. So our safeties, the entire time they get an alert by 3, they're getting their eyes to 1 and 2, and they're ready to play the fake bubble go. 3 alerts. It'd be nice if our outside linebacker rerouted and carried the new number 3, the 2 receiver here. But you do see our safety, he's getting the eyes to number 1. Our backside safety, a little bit too deep, but he's getting the eyes to number 2. Really, this team had a shot at completing the out route here. Quarterback, though, is going for the deep ball. We got inside on top leverage with our safety, and he's in position to get a hand on the ball and make sure the pass gets incompleted. Bubble. This is great play by a really good player. Levi is sitting there. He sees the bubble by number 2, pulls his trigger, ball hangs in the air, and he's going to take it the other way for 6. Outstanding play. Again, as much as we're talking about scheme and coverage, great players just make you a better coach, a better team. It's all about those guys. Here we go, another bubble. 3 alert. Corner pulls his trigger, sincere, almost comes up with the interception, and definitely makes a heck of a play to make sure the ball doesn't get completed. Another fake bubble go. Key in 2 and 3. What are we getting out of them? We've got alert by 3. Number 2 fakes the stock block and goes on the seam. And now the nice part, our trip side safety, his number 1 receiver, let's see how he does with getting eyes to him. His number 1 receiver continues to block. So now his eyes go from being on 1, needs to snap, and I can be an outside leverage, provide extra help on the remaining vertical backside safety. The single side safety coming over, he's inside leverage. The trip side safety outside leverage, and really we should be getting a linebacker yet underneath that receiver a little bit more than what we actually do. But we're in good position. If that ball even does get completed, if it's thrown a little bit better, they're not going to be able to squeeze it into that window. And he'd get tackled. Another screen to 2. Corner attacks real aggressively here. I'd like him to be outside leverage. Our rule is you gotta make it. If you go inside, our outside linebacker by alignment, he's apex of 3 and 2 there. He's able to pull his trigger there, and even if that ball would have been well thrown, our inside linebacker Cody is working out to be in pursuit and help Zach and Kenyon make the tackle there. And again, we get 2 or 3 alerting. Alert by 2. Safeties are getting eyes to the remaining receiving threats. Our weak side safety from the single side, his number 3 stays vertical. He stays inside leverage on 3. The trip side safety needs to get out over top of number 1. Our corner is pulling his trigger on the alert. The outside linebacker should be dropping and looking for work. And then this is us again on the backside. We're manned up, and we got to make sure there's a bunch of air under the ball, and quarterback misses, and that's, again, we're living with that, but we're also trying to play the percentage. Next up is us defending mesh on a 2-point. We are in our curl check, and we've adjusted it just a little bit on the backside. The outside linebacker is going to play inside. The corner is going to play outside. We know they like mesh and mesh return, where the single receiver and the 3 receiver, we're going to get some sort of pivot by the guys faking that mesh route and then coming back. And don't love our inside linebackers. They're a little too concerned with running with the crossers and getting a reroute. But our outside linebackers do a great job. You got Robbie working down here. Probably gets the kid on the funny bone. Up on the top of the screen, Zach walls his crosser, knocks him down, and just a heck of a play overall, showing how our guys were prepared and the effort. I mean, the kid who gets knocked down keeps working and gives his quarterback an option. We keep him contained, though, and make a stop on the first 2-point of that game. Here we go, snag. Our inside linebacker ends up doing a nice job of stacking the running back and then working to the final 3 receiver. We've got a seam. Our outside linebacker is carrying it. We've got our safety is outside leverage. Our other safety is inside leverage on that seam. Our corner is sinking. He gets alert by the 3. He pulls his trigger. He's going to match that in the flats. Matt, our inside linebacker, ends up working out, and he is in position. Even if that ball gets caught, it's about a 4 or 5 yard gain to make that tackle. Nice play by our guys. Now, Trent, our inside linebacker, he's going to do a great job. Number 3 is a little bit tighter here, but we stick with Cloud. Both 2 and 3, we'd be calling seams on both those. Outside linebackers is definitely a little bit leveraged by number 2 to the flats here, but our corner feels like he's able to cover that. Our inside linebacker, Trent, like I said, he does a great job of playing underneath 3, make sure there's air on the ball, and a tight throwing window probably obscures the vision of the receiver, and we come up with another incompletion. Here we go. We've got another snag. Outside linebacker is working to carry the vertical. Does a decent job with it. Should keep inside leverage. Our safety, Zane, is doing a good job of making sure he defends the post. And then they throw it to the single receiver side. So the matchup over here doesn't end up mattering. And good job by our corner over on that side as well. The other coverage check that we can use against trips is stress. The reason you'd want to do it is to get 3 guys over the 2 receivers on the single receiver side if you're counting the running back. The downside is now how stress is different from our Cloud. We cannot call alerts anymore, because if the corner would jump something in the flats on an alert, we would only have one deep defender for 2 potential verticals. So you lose some of that leverage that you have on the 3 receiver side when you're in stress. Outside linebacker's job is still alignment's the same. A little bit inside leverage of 2. You're keying 2 and ready to run with the vertical 2 until something crosses your face. Then you got to push to the flats. Weird route by the 3 receiver, and he in the end pushes to the flats. Our outside linebacker goes with him, cuts underneath of it, and makes the interception for a touchdown. Great play by Jackson there. Here's another one of us. We're in stress. To the boundary side, they got their trips. To the field side, they got their doubles. We're just in our plain read. To the field side, we'll talk about the stress side first. Outside linebacker's job is to reroute and be ready to carry the vertical of 2 until something goes out. He's in great position, inside leverage on that number 2 receiver. Pause it right there. Number 2 receiver starts to break out, so he knows that's his final match. We still got our safety inside leverage on the vertical and our corner inside leverage on the vertical. We'll talk about us being in read on the bottom of the screen for the eyes that wandered there. We've got an alert. Corner comes up. We're in great position to drive on it and cause the incompletion. Great play by Sincere, making the breakup. And we'll talk about real quick the safety in the read. He's keying that number 2. Number 2, alert, eyes to 1, be inside leverage for that slant. Go to overall play on both sides. Our last 3-by-1 check is Sky is the last 3-by-1 check that we'll use. We use it most of the time when we get a split of 1 and 2 that's greater than 8 to 10 yards. It lets our trip side safety, in this case our free, walk up and play the force in the alley, and then the backside deep safety walk over and play to the trip side. We'll also use it, as this clip shows, against 2-by-2 sets. When we get motion, we want the safety to force. This is a 4th and 14, so the play side safety would probably rock down a little harder if it was a first down or run type down. Backside safety closes the middle of the field. It lets our outside linebacker be more aggressive as a run defender in C gap inside of the number 2 receiver, and then our corner is playing the deep outside quarter or third, whatever you want to call it. He's responsible for the vertical that they throw it to, and he keeps inside, breaks up the pass, and makes sure they don't get a touchdown right before the half. Here we are, we're man check on both sides. We get the motion, we go to Sky. Play side safety could rock down harder. The backside safety works over. He's keying 2 and 3 for first up and in. Both those guys are blocking to make sure that the tailback on the sweep pass here can get the pass off. So he is free to help Rob help another route. Our corner, unfortunately, didn't have his eyes locked on number 1. And this is a case of a player just making a great play. I mean, Kenyon right here really bails the entire defense out by coming over and just being hard-nosed, making sure he takes the ball away and gets an interception, preventing the opponent from going in for a touchdown. Last clip, we get motion, play side safety, Sky's down, and now he decides to redirect because the receiver crosses face, probably had peripheral vision of either the quarterback or the pitch fake, but he's not needed to cover that vertical because our backside safety is working across. Now, it would be nice if that backside safety was another 2 yards deeper, actually on top of the route, because he would be the one driving down and getting to make the interception. But he does tip the ball. Our corner is in position, and we definitely get a little bit lucky on this play. But it's always luck is always made by guys playing hard and giving as much energy and effort as they can on every single snap.
As always, guys, if you have questions or comments, please leave them down below. I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Check me out and follow me on Twitter at Coach Klee. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you like what you see. And if you have anything that maybe requires a longer response, hit me up at coachbrienclee@gmail.com. Thanks as always for tuning in. See you again.